Hey guys, I'm back at Fremont Ford where 2 years and 22,000 miles ago, I picked up my 2022 F-150 Lightning Lariat Standard Range. I was the first to take delivery fresh off the train from the Rouge factory in Michigan. And in those miles, I've laughed, I've cried, I've met some amazing people and been to places I never thought I'd go. Most importantly, reborn was a love of driving that I haven't had since high school. In today's video, I'll tell you all about my Lightning, I'll share its triumphs and tragedies, the greatness, and some gremlins, any regrets, and importantly, would I buy it again? Let's go.
Welcome to Bo Family EV. I hope you'll like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me.
We'd like to say that in our opinion it is not suitable for children or for those of you who may have a nervous disposition.
All right, so I think I want to start by doing a walkthrough of the Lightning, and there's no better place to begin than with the powered frunk right here at the nose of the truck. This is one of my favorite areas in the vehicle, and I've customized it a little bit thanks to Tony Pham with Tesla Owners Club East Bay for hooking me up with the custom What the Frunk inside. This is one of the coolest toys. It's a Bluetooth speaker. It changes colors, and I can customize this for the Bay Area Lightning Club, and it's a fantastic part of the frunk that I can also remove. Now let's take a little closer look inside and see what we've got in there. So you can see that there's all this incredible space with the frunk. And although I've got this insert here for the speaker system and audio, that's easily taken out. And then underneath it is where there is like your ice chest area and your drain and all that kind of stuff inside. So that's super easy to swap back out again. And then over here, you've got your power, which is one of my favorite features of the frunk, is that you've got all this available onboard power, USB-A, USB-C for outlets. So this is something that is wonderful to have. I've added this kind of subwoofer there, but usually this is where you put your groceries and different things like that. So the powered frunk is fantastic. I use it all the time. One of my favorite features on the Lightning. So as we make our way around to the cab of the truck, it's going to look very traditional F-150. Nothing's going to surprise you here. If you're used to your gas F-150, you're going to fit right in here. It's got plenty of storage down here. You can see this is where I've got just some cloth towels, and this is where I've got, there are cup holders everywhere in this truck. Here's where I keep my adapter for the Tesla charging network, so that fits right into the door there perfectly. And then you've got your different controls. They're the same on any of the F-150s, your presets and all that kind of stuff there. And so when you get inside, this is where things might start to look a little bit different from the display standpoint. So one of the quirky things I will say about the Lightning that I've run into is that the displays that you have here will change on me sometimes. So this is the display I use most of the time, but every once in a while, it will start up in the morning in the calm screen, which is something I don't use. So this is one of those little quirks that I haven't figured out yet why it starts that way, but then I'll just have to flip it back up to the screen that I do use. I'm a real big fan of things like this grab handle. This is something for me that I really appreciate, and I know my wife, when she was having hip surgery, it was a big deal for her that we've got grab handles on each side. For some people, that's not a big deal, but I really appreciate it. Some differences here, I've got the Lariat Standard range, so you'll see that I don't have the sensors here for Blue Cruise. That is the one regret I have. I wish I would have sprung for the extra money for Blue Cruise. This one also does not have the sunroof, so you can see here that it is a solid roof. That might matter to some people. Being a bald guy doesn't really matter to me. And then here in the center console, very traditional F-150. Again, lots of cup holders here. Same thing on the other side. You've got your cup holders in the door, and you can see a water bottle over there. It's got heated and ventilated seats, which is really nice. So that's a feature. My wife especially appreciates the heated seats. So love that. Now, if this was the extended range, I'd also have heated seats in the back. But in my case, I don't. This is, again, with the standard range. There are no heated seats back there, but it is available. So now when we're talking about the user interface, this is where things get a little bit unique. So let's talk about this user interface, guys. There is a lot of heavy lifting being done by Apple CarPlay, and in my case, Android Auto. The native navigation is kind of a Garmin type, and I'm not really a big fan of that. So I really like, in my case, I like having the satellite view that Google gives you. I also just like the general layout of Android Auto better than Apple CarPlay. I have a different video that you guys can check out where I compare the two on that. But I really appreciate here how I can easily switch back and forth between my Spotify podcasts, or here when I'm listening to my YouTube music. It's really easy to kind of switch back and forth. And then, of course, I can go to full screen here on the navigation. And then you can flip it back to this way here, where it's then got your panel to quickly play your music, or have a navigation here. And then Apple CarPlay, it kind of makes that smaller in a way that I don't really care for. Now, in terms of some of the other quirks, and we talked earlier about how the display screen here sometimes when I start off is on the wrong one. Another really odd quirk is the radio stations. So I have had these presets reset on me a number of times. I'm not sure why, but I've almost given up on reprogramming them because I so rarely use them. Another strange thing is that every once in a while when I'm in Android Auto listening to music, the Bluetooth or the audio, and I'm not sure if this is with the phone or the truck connection, but the audio just drops out. And then what I have to do is I have to end up going back into the radio, and then the radio comes on, and then I flip back to Android Auto, and the audio comes back again. I don't know what that is. Again, one of those odd little quirks. Now, there are some other functions that are outside of Android Auto. For example, over here, you've got your trip display. So in this one that I just took, I'm 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, which would equate to 330 miles of range. That's because I was in commute traffic in the Bay Area, and that's not normal. But around town, you can get well over 3 miles per kilowatt hour. This is, my average so far for this charge is 2.5. That's, more traditional. And then my average for my entire lifetime of ownership is 2.4. And that's so in the 2 years, 2.4 right at EPA estimate. Now, of course, on the freeway, if I'm doing 70 miles an hour, I'm looking closer to 210. But if I'm on the freeway the whole time doing 75 or more, I'm looking at more like 190. And of course, when you're charging on the road, you're talking about, 90% charge. So it definitely makes a difference in the standard range, how far I can go before I have to charge. Speaking of charging, there is this button here where it shows you your charging information, but again, pretty limited, right? So it's going to have the ability here for a one-time max charge, where I can set that to 100% if for some reason I need to. Again, I have a different video showing why that's usually not a great idea. Be sure to check that out. I do wish this showed me things like battery temperature. I wish it showed me charge rate. There's just not a ton of information here, to be honest. And I wish this was a little bit better. Hopefully in the future, or certainly in future generations, that will improve. The other thing that we find inside here when it comes to doing charging is trying to find your chargers. So it's still not integrated into the native navigation. It's still not in Android Auto where I can look up the Tesla charging. So a lot of times before a trip, I've got to search for it in the Charge Assist. And this is where, again, the software really is challenged. You see how long this is taking to load up so that I can search for these chargers. And hopefully in the future, the software can get more snappy as the computers improve and the software gets more vertically integrated. But right now, you can just see how long it's taking just to load up so that I can search for a Tesla charger. And you cannot use this while you're driving, importantly. It's going to, for your safety, it's going to disable this ability to search. So you've really got to do some of that on the front end of your trip to figure out which charging stops you want to go on. And I'll save some in my favorites. And that's kind of how I did my trip to Las Vegas, for example. Again, different video. Check that out. You can see the whole trip and how that went. So here you can see it finally popped up here. And that took a good 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds for this to come up so that I can search. It doesn't sound like a lot when you say it that way, but when you're sitting waiting, it is pretty frustrating, to be honest. But here you can see that I've already got it filtered to where I'm only showing the Tesla charging network. And you can see that my area around here in Fremont and Newark is showing me what I've got there. And then here you can search and you can see the different stops that I made on my trip to Vegas, where I've got Coalinga and Henderson, Nevada, Mojave. These are some of the Tesla superchargers that I stopped at. So this is great because it does allows you to save some favorites and then put that into the navigation and quickly go to each one. But again, hopefully this gets a lot more elegant because right now it's clunky and it's really not the best user experience for sure. So then to get back to Android Auto, you just click of the button and here you are back to this user interface again. So overall, it kind of makes it so that it at least is serviceable. This, I think, in future generations will get a heck of a lot better. So now, as far as other attributes here, you can see that there is a wireless charging pad. It's not very effective, to be honest. So I still plug it in, and then I use this MagSafe mount here to mount my phone up to the top there. Other things that I really do appreciate is you've got your cigarette lighter type 12 volt, and then you've got importantly your 120, which is fantastic to have. There's also one of these in the back, so there's power everywhere in this vehicle. Let's take a look back there and see what that looks like. We're here in the back of the Lightning, which is something that, as a father of 2 little kids, is just fantastic, the amount of space that you get out of this area. And so my son and daughter, who are 9 and 10, they can be in here and grow for the next 10 years, become teenagers and adults, and still fit back here perfectly comfortably. It's a fantastic space to use on a road trip. And then, of course, the seats will fold up and give you a lot of cargo room and space. You can get a Kia dresser back there. You can get a refrigerator back here and plug it into the 120 if you're on a camping trip or some kind of cookout or picnic or something. So that's really cool as well. Let's take a closer look inside, and I'll let you take a peek there. So you can see that with the seat, it's easy. And you got your, by the way, you got your cup holders up here, and the same thing down here in the doors. There are cup holders as well. Everybody loves cup holders, so I thought I'd point those out. But folding the chair is super easy, or the seat. This goes right up, and then you got some under-seat storage. This is where I've got like my first aid kit. This is where I've got my charging adapters. This is where I've got like my mobile charger. Down here I can have things like straps, which I don't have in there at the moment. And then down here is where you're going to see that USB-A, USB-C, and then the 120, so you can plug stuff in back here. And then again, just the room that's available is awesome. You can see just how much space there is back in that cargo area to load something in. So I'm a real big fan of just the amount of space that's available in the Lightning. It's really easy to load that up and to get whatever you need back in this area. A dog carrier, for example, fits really well back here. A number of different things. So super happy. This is one of the biggest backseat areas in the business. As far as some customization that's been done on this, there's just a few little things. You've already seen the What the Frunk here, which is my personal favorite. There's a couple others I like to point out. I was real lucky when I got to go to the Palo Alto Labs for Ford that I was able to meet Jim Farley, and he was fantastic and actually signed my visor here. So it says Ford Rocks Jim Farley. So I was able to meet and speak with him. It was a real honor and fantastic of him when he was doing his road trip down to Southern California and then over to Vegas. Other things that I've done here, you can see this is just off of Etsy. It's the F-150 inlay for the faux door charger. I've got this on both sides. And then down here, you can see that the brake calipers, I've got painted the Lightning blue. So just little subtle details there that kind of top off the truck, I think, and give it a little bit of character. And now in the back area here, we've done a little bit of something that is just an accessory that can go onto any of the F-150s. This isn't unique to the Lightning by any means, but it's something that for me and my family has been a real help, and that is this bed extender. So obviously it's used to get the more cargo space here in the bed. It's made of aluminum, so it's really easy to just flip right out here. And I love the extra space it gives me. But really where it comes in handy a lot of the times is for things like going to Costco or moving some of my lawn equipment. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. It holds my lawnmower really well when it's flipped this way. It kind of corrals the lawnmower right here. Then I can put my other equipment in the back there. But for Costco, this is fantastic. I can load this all up. It's easy within reach. It's not going to slide to the back. And then again, it flips out for when I'm going to Home Depot or those types of things and I need more cargo room. So I've done that as well. So I really like this bed extender. This is probably my favorite accessory that I've put in here. And then, as you guys know, with the Lightning, one of the big things for this was the Pro Power. And we've seen this whether it's the California grid going down and having rolling blackouts or power safety shutoffs. We've seen this in parts of the country like Texas where they have ice storms or hurricanes, both in Texas and Florida. And we've seen this on the East Coast where this Pro Power really comes in handy. I've seen people operate off the grid. Shout out Ben up in Colorado who does that for his house. So I really, really appreciate the Pro Power. Let's take a look down there at how that works. So as we flip around, you can see right down here, you've got your power and these outlets down below. This is going to give you your 110. So there's one there and there's one there. So a total of 4 outlets. And then up here is the 240. And so the 240 is what I use to connect to my house. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like as well. And this is, again, one of my favorite things. And one of the big reasons I went with the Lightning was for that. As far as the truck bed too, this is something that the Lariat has, and a lot of other F-150s have as well, which is this step. So this step makes it really easy to get in and out of the bed. And then it's got, well, let's get that back up again. And then it's got this handle that pulls out this way, makes it really easy to step inside the truck. So big fan of that. Again, that's not unique to the Lightning, but it's just another one of those aspects that the Ford engineers have done a really good job with. Then inside the bed, it's got the box link system. So there's lots of accessories and tie downs and things that you can do with the box link. So all of those are just parts of the Ford F-150 ecosystem. It's why it's the #1 selling vehicle in America. So again, not unique to the Lightning, but if you're familiar with the F-150, if you have accessories already, tonneau covers, if you have different things that already go with your existing F-150, it's going to look very familiar. There's one last add-on to share with you, and probably my favorite is this light-up blue oval LED from Putco. It looks great at night. It really balances out the front of it. I think they should all come with these, honestly, just like the Mustang Mach-E should have that pony that lights up. I just think it looks fantastic going down the road. So definitely recommend this. Be careful when you buy it that you look at the year. So this being a 2022, it has the washer for the camera. The 23s and 24s don't. There are online videos I'll put in the description for how to install these, but I definitely think it's worth it. I love the look, and this is probably the favorite add-on that I've done of all the things. So one of my favorite things about getting the Lightning has just been the EV community in general. They've been really fantastic, and that's what I've got back here. Of course, I've got the Turn Down for What podcast. Be sure to listen in, guys. The Bay Area Lightning Club, which I co-founded, and we do some different events throughout the year. And then the Tesla Owners Clubs, who have just been fantastic, guys. There's Joe down in the San Joaquin Valley, who was the first person I ever did an event with. I was able to go down there and had a great time with the club, and he was really fantastic, welcomed me. And then Al did the same thing at Tesla Owners Club East Bay. Been on a number of drives up to Mount Diablo, out to the Delta, just great events there for Halloween. And the whole community has been fantastic, embracing and welcoming. Even though I'm not a Tesla vehicle owner, they've been really fantastic. And then John, of course, down in Tesla owner Silicon Valley, he let me check out the Cybertruck. We did a video together. Again, a fantastic guy. That's my #1 video, by the way, 140,000 views of me driving the Cybertruck. Be sure to check that out. And then you've got Will and Marty down in Southern California with F the Pump and SoCal EVs. They do zero runs all the time. They do Vegas, they do Arizona, and those guys, again, that social aspect that is so missing online sometimes. Even though it's called social media, people are often antisocial, but then you get to be with them in person, you get to meet regular people. It's a lot less toxic, it's a lot of fun, and you're just sharing experiences as car enthusiasts, as EV owners, and whether that's charging or road trips or what it's like with the kids. When you really get to meet these people one-on-one, and I do a lot of events in the Bay Area for EV, hey, there's a cool Mustang. But I do a lot of events in the Bay Area showing folks my vehicle, other vehicle owners. We let people check it out. We answer questions. EVs aren't for everybody in every circumstance, but I like to share my experiences. And I find when you can get in front of people, those conversations go a lot better and it's a lot more fun. So look, I knew that when I was buying a brand new first edition early model of this Lightning, that there was going to be some gremlins, and there were. We'll go through them kind of from back to front and talk about what they were. All of them were resolved and fixed. Shout out to Fremont Ford, who just did a fantastic job getting everything taken care of, making sure that I was in a rental or a loaner car, depending on the situation, and great communication from Ford. And so I really appreciate all that the comms team did early on, especially to help me out. We'll get into that in just a bit. But let's talk about the simple and easy stuff first that came up. So right here, my rear tail light had some water condensation, and so this had to be replaced. One thing that was done with all the Lightnings was this rear tail bar that goes all the way across also was getting condensation, so that also happened and was replaced. As we circle back around the truck, one of the things that also happened was when the loaded it up for delivery, the box links that are back here and that are currently attached to the bed, those box links, they put inside here on the seat itself, packaged, and then they took this seat and they folded it up for transportation. And what that did was that left indentations in the seat, both on the rear part and on the bottom. And so those had to be replaced. Again, not a big deal. Down here at the bottom, I did have a situation where my running board was delaminating. I don't know if it was from the heat or what it was from, but it was starting to separate here, this piece from the running board itself. So this was coming up and that had to be replaced as well. Another part that kind of started to give me a problem was this door panel here. This door panel started to also delaminate, and was squeaking and making a bunch of noises and pulling away. They're still held on by clips, but there is some adhesive there that came off, and so I had to have this replaced. Again, they did a great job of switching that out. Inside here, something kind of silly, they did this with all the Lightnings as well. There is this tray here, and the original tray was flatter, and I guess people were putting beverages, coffees, I don't know, and it would spill and get into all the electronics. I think that's kind of crazy and ridiculous myself, but they did replace that. And then the windshield wiper motors have been replaced. There was a recall on those. And then there was also a battery sensor that had to be replaced inside. But the biggest gremlin that I faced, and it does come up, you know, single digits, you're talking lower than 5% of the trucks this happens to, but I did have a battery module failure. So that was relatively early on, inside of 9 months of ownership. I got an alert on the screen, and it gave me all these dings and bells, and the motor went all the way down to basically a crawl mode, and I had to go in and try to figure out what was going on there, and it turned out to be a battery module failure. So I took it in here to Fremont Ford, where the service guys were just fantastic. They got it up on the lift, they worked with Ford, pulled the battery pack down, opened it up. I even got to see inside and check out all the different modules and what it looked like. And they worked with the engineers and the Ford team to figure this out early on, because I was one of the first to have this failure happen. And then they put it together good as new. So that's been replaced, but that did take almost a month to get resolved and get figured out. And being one of the early ones that happened to, I think for me, that's part of where I really appreciated the Ford team getting involved, helping me out, keeping communication going, letting me really know the ins and outs of what was going on. It still happens sometimes. So that's one of those things with any EV. There's a chance for a battery failure. It happens very rarely, but when it does, these batteries are warranted for 8 years, 100,000 miles. And so I'm not worried about that. And like I say, I haven't had a problem since. So those are the gremlins I faced. Not perfect, but to me, well worth it. It's such a powerful, smooth ride. I absolutely love the truck. I couldn't be happier with my experience overall. I mentioned I've shed some tears over this truck as well. Just a few months into ownership, I was hit by a Chevy Suburban who sideswiped me. Completely had to replace my front passenger fender. Also, my door took damage and that had to be replaced. And it came all the way down to my running board, which had to be replaced, as well as some touch-up on this door and on the bed. So it wasn't a really aggressive hit, but that Suburban is so heavy that it just came right into me and did a lot of damage. Now, fortunately, because this is an F-150, there are parts that are readily available for things like the door, and it's not too expensive to fix. I was able to take it to a buddy of mine who has a shop down in Santa Clara, and he did a fantastic job. So shout out to Joe for that. And he basically put it all back together, good as new, took it by Ford to have everything calibrated. I'll share some photos and videos here of what that looked like in the process. You can see how it had to be completely disassembled and taken apart and repainted and paint matched and all the different things to get it back to normal, but it's as good as new. And that is one of the attributes of the F-150, is that the parts aren't really hard to get. And so I really appreciated all the work that he did, and then Ford partnering to get everything back calibrated and 100%, and it drives good as new. Obviously had to go through insurance, took some hit on the diminished value that I got some payout for. But at the end of the day, I still love it as much as I did from day one.
Guys, wrapping it up is my favorite part about owning the Lightning, and that is never going to a gas station. I have really the ideal situation. I'm not driving a ton of miles a year, doing about 11,000 per year so far, the first two. My commute is 35 miles round trip, so that's kind of ideal, and that's why I've got the standard range. It works for me. I can get from my house to Monterey and back, Sacramento and back, and I can get to LA in 2 charge stops. So especially now that we've got the Tesla charging network, it's absolutely fantastic, and it's an easy drive. And I'm looking forward to a trip later this year where we're heading down to Legoland and down to Disneyland. Then next year we're going to do a trip to Arizona to the Grand Canyon. And so even though those are going to be even further than I went with my trip to Vegas, most of my driving isn't that. It is right around town here in the Bay Area, and I've got solar on the roof, so really couldn't be in a better circumstance when it comes to cost. cost. I'm essentially paying nothing at this point. I've had solar for 7 years, which is when I hit the break-even point, and so I am paying nothing. No electrical bill for the house, nothing for the lightning. Now, we are looking to add a R2 in a couple years. When that happens, we will start to exceed what our solar produces, but I really appreciate the fact that I'm really inflation protected. As electrical rates increase, I'm locked in. As gas prices increase, I'm locked in. And so for me, this is really about having a domestic vehicle running off domestic energy. It's the ultimate freedom and liberty for me. I love this aspect of an EV. I wish we'd get away from some of the politics of it. Just from a practical standpoint, it is fantastic for me and for my family, for the budget, and the kids can grow into it. And I'm never going to a gas station. Charging is super easy. I've got here a portable Ford custom-made charger. Over here, I've got a Tesla charger that is a wall connector and a J1772, and this is a custom-made case for it that goes over it. And then I've got a power wall, which will get me through any immediate outages, and then the lightning plugs in and can last for days when it's something more extreme. But here I am at night when the power rates are low. I charge up the power wall all day long with solar. I send stuff back to the grid and get credits for it. So during the winter, I can pull those credits back. And then I'm, again, charging up at night when the demand is low. So that's a real simple process.
So charging really couldn't be any easier. I've got a Tesla wall connector with the J1772 plug here. And so I just head right on over to the truck, and we press the 0 on F-150. This opens up, we plug it right in, and that's really all there is to it. We'll get the blue flashing light that tells us it's going to be charging up, and then we wake up in the morning pretty much ready to go. And for me, again, it's an ideal situation, and I know not everybody is in this situation or in these circumstances where they can afford a truck as expensive as the Lightning. There are plenty of affordable options. I also know not everybody has a single family home that they can just plug right into. And so I definitely understand that EVs aren't for everybody. I'm just trying to share my experience, why I enjoy it, why it's worked for me and my family. I have friends that work in the trades. They come in from the Central Valley. They have long commutes. They have multiple stops and job sites that they have to go to. So I totally get and appreciate that this isn't an end-all be-all solution for everyone. But for me and what I do day to day and what I've been able to do with my family and the backup power and the comfort, it really could not be more ideal. So hopefully this has helped some of you and answered some questions and gotten to see the experience, the good, the bad, and the fantastic. And I tried to be as transparent and honest, and hopefully that came through. I appreciate you guys watching. I know it's a long video. I'd love for you guys to like and subscribe, comment. It all helps me grow the channel. And tune in next time for more of my adventures with the EV, the Ford Lightning, and all the other cool things that I experience along the way. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.